were against this idea of kind of two nation theory. Are you getting my point? These two parties were secularist and resolutely opposed the division of India on the lines of religion. Gandhi opposed dichotomy and partition by asserting that his soul rebelled against the idea that Hinduism and Islam represented two antagonistic cultures and doctrines which for him were a denial of God. Are you able to make some kind of connections? Are you able to connect the dots? Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
sir.
am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Gandhi was not for two nation theory. Jinnah was initially convinced that it is okay to stay together, but later he realized that it is impossible. And some Hindu organizations were also very reluctant to stay together. But ironically, some Muslim organizations wanted to stay together. They were not in the opinion of that we should be separate from these guys. Okay. For a long time, Gandhi and other congressmen strived to keep Muslims within the fold of the Congress party. But in the 1930s, many Muslim activists left the party. I know we are in election season, so and there is a kind of party hopping exercise going on. Some people are going from Congress to BJP, BJP to Congress, Congress to Aam Aadmi Party, something like that. And that was also the case in 1930s. So it is a long tradition in our Indian election or political scenario. Their move incensed both Hindu and Muslim nationalists. Sadly, politicians and community leaders on both sides whipped up mutual suspicion and fear, which eventually led to dreadful violence. Politics and politicians played their murky role, and the colonial masters fed the fires of divisiveness by making Pakistan topographically possible. They planned and executed and oversaw the division of India according to the Mountbatten Plan, under which the Radcliffe Line was drawn to demarcate India and Pakistan. So Britain also played its part in dividing us. So in 1947, saw the partition of India effected by the British. In its wake occurred massive population migrations. The times were marked by a complete breakdown of law and order. Horrendous rioting and massacres ensued as fiery rabble-rousers aroused and encouraged retribution on the sections of population migrating from their ancestral lands. 500,000 people perished in the riots, massacres, or simply from the hardships of their flight to safety. 72 lakhs and 26,000 Muslims went to Pakistan from India, while 72 lakhs and 49,000 Hindus and Sikhs moved out of Pakistan to India. So that is the official statistics available in the history books. The partition of India emphatically declared that the sun was setting on the British Empire. It led to the creation of Pakistan on August 14, 1947, and the independence of India at the stroke of the midnight hour on the night of August 15, 1947. Thus were born the sovereign states of Union of India, later Republic of India, and the Dominion of Pakistan. You get the story?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The term partition refers not only to an ill-conceived division of the land, its people, but also their assets, including British Indian Army, Indian Civil Service, and other administrative services, the railways, and the central treasury. Gandhi was assassinated soon after partition by Nathuram Godse, a Hindu nationalist who believed that Mahatma was appeasing Muslims at the cost of Hindus. Okay. So now the story of partition is over. I mean, in our context of our class. Now we'll get into the storyline of Ice Candy Man. You know, Ice Candy Man combines a growing child's perceptions with the collective anguish of newly created nation carved out from an undivided India. And we see she is Lenny, a 8-year-old Parsi girl, lives with her family before the partition of India in Lahore. You get that?
Sir, can you please repeat the last line?
Last line is the first line of my slide. That is, Lenny is the central character of this. I mean, Lenny is not the central, but she is one of the very important characters in this particular text. Lenny is an 8-year-old Parsi girl, lives with her family before the partition of India in Lahore. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It is a story that intertwines the doomed romance of Aya. Aya means Santa. Okay. The fictionalized canvas of history and the autobiographical undertones of the narrative. I mean, many believed that Lenny is manifestation of Bapsi Siddha as a character in the text. I mean, there is no documentary evidence to prove that, but some critics do believe that. That is why it is widely believed that this text is a kind of autobiographical in nature and full of autobiographical elements and undertones. Sidhwa creates Lenny, a narrator who is young enough to be free from the prejudice of religion and its concomitant Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, or Parsi biases. Through her narrator, I mean, Lenny is the narrator in this text. The novelist describes a lot of dehumanizing effects of the communalism that haunt the subcontinent till this day. So Lenny is the narrator in this particular novel, and it is widely believed that Bapsi Sidhwa has created the character of Lenny to represent herself in the text. Ice Candy Man is Sidhwa's third novel, and it is a work that sensitively portrays events and their enmeshed memories in the mind of a young Parsi girl called Lenny Sethi. That is her full name. During the cataclysm events of India's partition, in a deft and delicate handling, Sidhwa weaves her story around the events and the mindset that foreshadowed and then brought about partition. Okay, Lenny moves in a world of contradictions. The love and attention that people give interposed with the hatred and the violence that partition engenders. As a Parsi, the young Lenny is both an observer and an unwitting participant in the violence that both precedes and succeeds partition. It is her faith that saves her and her family from becoming embroiled in the Hindu-Muslim divide that is reflected. I mean, in the partition days, there were fights between Hindus and Muslims, but Parsis were neutral community. So not the Hindus or the Muslims. I mean, neither the Hindus nor the Muslims. Both of them didn't harm the Parsi communities as a whole. The historical sense of partition is well integrated into the novel, which encompasses the stark realities of turbulent times along with the innate compassion of human beings. Sidhwa is able to maintain her religious distance from as a member of the Parsi or Zoroastrian community, which held a religiously and politically neutral position. Now we'll get into the details of the story. Those who have watched the movie, they will understand pretty easily what I'm trying to say. Have you watched the movie, Earth?
Yes, sir.
And our very own Amir Khan is there, and Amir Khan is playing a kind of antagonist role in that particular movie.
But I read bit of novel also, but it's too far different, sir. Totally, I mean, not
Yeah,
much is
I have also shared one article in the group mentioning the same. I believe you must have gone through that, or you should go through that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If
Yes,
you
sir.
if you haven't, you should. Okay, because the more you read about a particular text and related context or other secondary sources, you will be in a position to negotiate all kinds of complexities arising out of the text. So you have Leni, one 8-year-old Parsi girl who lives with her family before the partition of India in Lahore. And you have Santa, the Aya, Imadin, Imabdin, the cook, and the ice candy man. His name is Dil Nawaz. People in undivided India are seen engaged in the Quit India movement. The Muslim League motivates the Muslim community to raise a demand for a separate nation for the Muslims. I mean, I'm getting into the storyline right now. One day, riots break out in Lahore, and this leads to killing of innocent people on both the sides, both Hindu communities and Muslim communities. Soon, the entire Punjab province is seen burning in the fire of hatred and communal violence. Dil Nawaz, the ice candy man, waits for his sisters on Lahore railway station. The train arrives from Gurdaspur loaded with mutilated bodies of Muslim passengers. Dil Nawaz turns into a person possessed with a frenzy and a desire to kill the Hindus. So he abducts Santa, the Aya of Leni, and later takes her to a low market of Lahore, I mean prostitution market, or you can say red light area. Ice Candy Man loved Santa from the core of his heart, but now she is a Hindu for him, nothing else. Santa is rescued and she reaches the relief camp at Amritsar. The Ice Candy Man also follows her there. In short, the story goes like this. But
Sir, sir, what is the meaning of frenzy?
sorry.
Sir, what is the meaning of frenzy?
Okay. In which line? Yeah, this one, right? Dil Nawaz turns into a person
Yes,
possessed with a frenzy. I mean, it's a kind of wild desire or wild feeling, or it's like a kind of he is not in his own senses. Okay. Are you getting my point?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I mean, a dictionarical meaning is a state of extreme mental agitation or wild excitement. More or less, whatever I told you, it's close to that, right? I mean, when you do not know what you are doing, you can say it's a frenzied reaction. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now,
So, can the term frenzy be termed as a mindset filled with revenge?
yeah, it may be. I mean, of course, it is closely related to what we are discussing, so it can be that. Okay. So,
Okay,
I
sir.
mean, English is a very funny language. Most of the words and meanings, they have multiple meanings, and according to the context and the sentence, it keeps changing. But the basic meaning remains almost same in most of the cases. Okay. Unless and until you have categorically mentioned 5 or 10 meanings in the dictionary, right? Yeah. So we are going back to the title, Ice Candy Man or Cracking India. It was actually originally published as Cracking India or Ice Candy Man. Okay. In different critical editions, some of the critics are dubbing that it was retitled as Cracking India, originally published as Ice Candy Man. Okay. Associated with the main character of Ice Candy Man, that is Dil Nawaz, I mean, in the movie or in the text, a man who is as sweet as candy before partition. But candy, I mean sweet, situation vanishes with the breaking of violence of partition. Ice also represents his cold and callous behavior. So that's why the title is Ice Candy Man. Okay. Now we'll talk about Leni Sethi in more details. Leni is 4 years old when the novel begins. Smart, Yeah, yeah. Sorry, there was a kind of disturbance. Now, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Lenny is 4 years old when the novel begins. She is a smart little girl who is suffering from polio, mind it, who gives her a limp. I mean, which gives her a limp. She lives with her family in Lahore. She loves her parents but worries about their relations. She wants attention from her father but doesn't always receive it. Lenny's family are Parsi and they practice the Zoroastrian religion. Lenny is very close with the Aya, Santa, her nanny. Aya takes her all around the city and she meets all sorts of interesting characters belonging to various religions. Lenny is painfully honest and unable to tell a lie. She is also becoming aware of sexuality as a force around her. Lenny is anxious about what is going to happen to her country and her city. She hears all sorts of adult conversations about India being partitioned and violence between different religious groups. Finally, on Lenny's birthday in 1948, the British leave India and it is split into two separate countries. I mean, 47 in fact. An angry mob kidnaps Aya after Lenny gives up her hiding place. She spends the rest of the novel trying to find her missing nanny, eventually finding her with the help of her godmother. I mean, there is a scene in the movie as well as in the novel that when this ice candy man, Dil Nawaz, is accompanied by an angry mob and they want to find out where this Hindu Aya is there. They are in love. I mean, they were in love, but when he found out that the other community is attacking their community and they are creating whole lot of problems and they are raping women and killing innocent people around. So he also gets angry, and his rage, his scorn for the other community doesn't make him realize that he was in a kind of relationship with Santa, the Aya. So he was like bloodthirsty, and he went to this Lenny's house, and everybody tried to hide Santa, the Aya. But Lenny, as a young kid, she was not that like kind of crooked or like politically correct. So she finally tells Ice Candy Man that where she is hiding, because she believed that they were in a relationship, they love each other, and Ice Candy Man could not harm kind of Santa. So she gave away the location of Santa, but ultimately Santa was dragged out of her house, and this Dil Nawaz, or this Ice Candy Man, took her with the angry mob, and later I believe she was forcibly converted to Islam, and she was forcibly this Dil Nawaz, or Ice Candy Man, forcibly made her to do prostitution. And he believed that even though I was in a relationship with this girl, now she is nothing else, just a Hindu girl or a Hindu woman. Okay, so that was the kind of emotional or psychological trauma or frenzy, whatever you call it, Dil Nawaz was going through. And imagine, or spare a thought for Santa or the Aya or the Nani, what she must have gone through at that point in time. And also spare a thought for Lenny, who is a very soft and sweet girl, and she just giving away the location of Santa because she thought, if I give away the location to Ice Candy Man, it's okay because they know each other. He will not do any harm to Santa. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out like that. Should I move on?
Yes, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I believe you get a picture of Lenny, right?
Yes, sir.
Always remember, when you are doing a character, kind of appreciation or character analysis in your exams, make sure to compare it and to contrast it with other characters in the text or other characters of the writer from other books, if you can, if you may, if it is possible for you or you have read that much. If you do that, any evaluator who is evaluating a paper, he will be thoroughly impressed, he or she, will be thoroughly impressed, and at least he will give you more marks. Okay, even if you don't get more marks, in the long run, if you want to pursue your career in English literature or language, I guess that will help you in the long run. How many of you actually want to kind of make or kind of build your career in English literature or something like that, if I may ask you that?
I'm planning to do so, but I'm scared of UGC net exams.
Okay, UGC net is very scary for everyone. I mean, there is nothing to be scared of, but I mean, it's kind of if your fundamentals are good, then you can easily go through. I mean, uh, since I did my PhD, so I didn't go for net at all, and without getting through net, I mean, I got the PSc in my state, and I am placed in a government college. That's a different debate. But having said that, net has its own charm and its own place in academia, and people will respect you, and it will also help you to kind of give a different worldview, and you will understand the nitty gritties of English literature in a better way, and it shouldn't scare you at all. Okay. Anybody else?
Once I start preparing.
Yes, I mean, uh, the problem with online or distance education is somehow you are not exposed to more texts. Your exposure is limited, but it happens to best of the students. And imagine a situation, those who were or who are like senior to you, at that point in time, even the syllabus was kind of different. The CBCS syllabus was not there. So it is a person specific and case specific issue. Sridevi wants to say something or wants to share something.
No, sir. In that, I just when you said that anybody else, so I just raised my hand.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir. I
fine.
also would like to pursue my PhD. I don't know if God
Okay,
should help and circumstances also should favor. But
yeah.
these times, like in qualifying net and getting into this thing is not so. I know. Yeah. So maybe, sir, in future you'll be able to help me, guide me something. I'm really interested into that comparative studies, sir.
Okay,
Basically.
okay, okay. I mean, I must tell you, to both of you or anyone who is there who is interested for this, that uh, net is just an entrance examination, and if you prepare well, I think in 1 year or so you can get through. But PhD is a long drawn out process, like 5 years or 4 years or 6 years, something like that. But some people think that PhD is easier than net. Some people believe that kind of net is easier than PhD. So the debate is still out there. But if you want to be placed in a government college without PhD, net is the best quick fix. Okay, but if you want to build your career and you want to do really new things or better things in life, and you really want to pursue the career sincerely and seriously, I mean, PhD will be okay. But if you have both, it's a bonus, and in your competition you will be way ahead of your colleagues, because people having both net and PhD will be preferred at any point in time in any government interviews.
So does PhD require lots of patience because we have to frame our thesis again and again?
Look, it's a very kind of subjective issue. For some, it requires a lot of revisions. For some, it doesn't. But it depends on how your fundamentals are and how adaptive you are, because it's an evolving process, and your research will evolve. Okay, like in my case, when I was doing my PhD, at the fag end of my research, I realized that my approach should be slightly different. So I talked to few of my friends and some of my friends, and they told me, they helped me actually to kind of redirect the focus of my thesis to a different direction. Sometimes it is easy, sometimes it's not so easy, but if you're mentally prepared, it is doable. It's not a big deal. Okay, should I go
Okay,
back to
sir.
my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll go to Aya Santa. Okay, Aya is Leni's 18-year-old nanny. Her real name is Santa, which means peace. She is described as chocolate brown and short. She is so beautiful that everyone from shopkeeper to beggar stares at her in the street. It is very typical, thing in our Indian society. She has a number of suitors, including Messer, Sarbat Khan, and Ice Candy Man. After partition, when most Hindus like Aya leave Pakistan for India, Aya decides to stay back. That is the mistake. That is the trouble. One day, a mob discovers her at home and kidnaps her. Ice Candyman forces her into prostitution and then marries her. She converts to Islam and takes the name Mumtaj. Eventually, she is rescued from Ice Candyman and leaves for India to find her family. Okay, in this context, I must tell you that when Santa or the Aya was kidnapped by Dilnawaz or Ice Candy Man, and she was forcibly, he married her forcibly and made her to do prostitution and all these things. Santa wanted a way out of that. Okay, and Lenny's family were very connected in Lahore as well at that point in time. And when Santa met the godmother or the grandmother of Lenny, and she requests her or pleads in front of her that please save me. I want to leave this country and go to India and to find my family. I have been tortured enough. I have been suffered enough. I don't want any more suffering. So finally they helped her to get out of that problematic situation and to go to India and to find her own family. Although towards the end or the last scene of the novel, you have Dil Nawaz and Ice Candy Man. Ice Candy Man is also following her to India, but we do not know what happens later. Okay, the novel ends there. So we are not in a position to understand what happened after that. I guess we need to ask Bapsi Sidhwa once that what exactly happened after that, or what she had imagined while she wrote this particular beautiful novel, partition novel called Ice Candy Man. Okay, so do we move to the next character?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can I ask one question, please?
Yes.
Sir, the name Ice Candy Man, prior to that, it was Cracking India, right? So
Yes.
why the title change was done for this novel by Bapsi Sidhwa?
I guess that we need to find out. I haven't focused my preparation on that, but I tried to be actually short and simple in terms of my understanding as well as this particular presentation. But if you want, I can get back to you with my answer related to that. Okay.
Somehow I feel, sir, just my own interpretation. I think the focus is shifted to the Ice Candyman as it has already been described, like as callous and as cold as ice, and how people change, sir, as per their like this thing. I think that's how the priority, instead of cracking India, sometimes like suitability, aptness of the novel projects more in Ice Candyman than the cracking India. I think the suitability has shifted so that the gist of the novel can be
Yes, yes.
appeared in that.
Actually, I read somewhere about this cracking India and Ice Candyman. I just forgot to highlight that in this particular presentation. Okay, but I somehow agree with your assessment that this might be the reason behind changing the title to Ice Candyman. Okay,
Yes, sir, understood.
so we'll go to the Ice Candyman. Okay, Ice Candyman is a Muslim popsil seller. You know popsil seller?
Sir,
What is
ice gola, वो बर्फ के गोले.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, baraf ki gole. Okay. You can say frozen desert. Okay, or full of ice. Yes. He
Sir,
also
Uh,
is it also called popsicle in English? Ice candy?
sorry.
Popsicle?
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
He
I demand the heading of this novel is like they are representing the Indian community or the people as sweet as candy. And after the partition, they are behaving like their heart is become ice, just nothing else.
Yeah,
Only
it's more
disease is
about,
there.
yeah, it's more about the central character Dil Nawaj. Okay, it's not about all kind of kind of sections of the society or Indian, something like that, but it is more about the central character Ice Candy Man. Okay, and the name of the novel is inspired by only the central character, but if you want, literature can be interpreted in many ways, and it is open for any kind of meaning or any kind of interpretation. Okay, let's come back.
Okay.
So Ice Candy Man is a Muslim popsicle seller, and he also does other odd jobs and scams such as freeing birds, selling herbal remedies, and pretending to be a Muslim saint. He is in love with Aya and is one of her many suitors. Okay. However, over time, he becomes jealous of the others, most particularly the Mashir. When the population exchange between Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims begin, he finds a train full of Muslim refugees from India who have been slaughtered. He begins to turn on his former non-Muslim friends. I mean, that was a, there have been many partition novels, many partition movies, and the scenes or the description of that is very horrific or horrible in a sense. I mean, it will be very difficult for any one of us to tolerate that scenes. Okay, be whether you are a Muslim or whether you are a Hindu, it is difficult to fathom or digest what exactly happened and how it happened and why it happened. We still keep asking these questions to the politicians, but them, they are made up of different kind of material. They don't mind these things as long as their chairs are protected.
True, sir.
When the population exchange between Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims begin, he finds a train full of Muslim refugees from India who have been slaughtered. He begins to turn on his former non-Muslim friends. I mean, they have been staying there for so many years. They were friends, but once this happens, there is a kind of psychological change, or kind of towards the negative side in Dil Nawaz or the Ice Candy Man, and he begins to kind of kill and torture his former non-Muslim friends. He also helps kidnapping Aya, makes her work as a prostitute, and then marries her. They live in the red light district that hosts the kind of high class brothels in which he grew up. Aya wants to leave him, and when she is freed, he begins following her, first to the camp for rescued women and then across the border to India. He assumes the role of the mad lover, reciting poetry and pining for his love. When the novel was first published in England, the title was not Cracking India but Ice Candy Man. Okay. Then we'll go to the godmother. The matriarch of Lenny's family. Godmother is characterized by her strength and wisdom. Godmother's real name is Rhoda or Rhoda. She is married to old husband and lives with a slave sister. Sorry. Godmother is Lenny's role model. She is loving and independent. She seems to know everything happening in Lahore thanks to her wide connections and many informants. That is why she was able to. I mean, she could actually help Aya to go, get out of that, kind of problematic situation where she was kept as a captive and she was forced to do prostitution. She helps discover Aya's whereabouts and then rescues her. Godmother acts as something of a counterpoint to Ice Candy Man, in that she is empathetic to the suffering of women all around her. She dares to challenge the pervasive presence of sexual violence in society. I mean, I'll share a video with you. The video is titled as Women and Partition. You have to, just a 10-15 minutes video. You will understand what it meant for women during the partition days and how they were traumatized by the men around them, and how they were the soft targets during this kind of post independent partition related violences. I mean, they were soft targets for many reasons. because they were perceived as weak, and they were perceived as a kind of punching bag, or somebody through which the act of revenge could be fulfilled. And that was very pathetic and tragic, kind of way of looking at human beings. And Bapsi Sidhwa has been very categorical in her representation, or in her presentation of these characters. Then you have mother, or Mrs. Sethi, Lenny's mother. She is a very beautiful and maternal woman. She runs the household efficiently and manages an entourage of servants, a woman of the privileged economic class. She keeps herself busy with her social commitments. Mother is well educated and has a wide circle of friends, including many foreigners. Lenny wants attention from her mother and gets jealous when it is given to others. So that was a kind of beautiful portrayal of mother and daughter relationship. Uh, she tries to put a good image forward to her community. She also secretly helps women who have been kidnapped reunite with their families after partition. So the godmother as well as Mrs. Sethi both were very helpful to other women, because they were in a position of power or position of strength. So they thought, if it is possible, let's help others, because there were many women who were suffering because of this partition. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, okay. In the context of this particular title, I should tell you very important information that this novel was published with another title called Cracking India, specifically when it was published in England in 1988 and in Germany in 1990. Okay. And again in US in 1991. And the New York Times declared it as the notable book of the year in 1991. Cracking India was a title specifically favored in the US continent, given the country's top priority to the fight against drugs. American publishers feared that its original title was a misnomer that might make readers mistake the title Ice Candy Man to be the name of the drug pusher. So that is why the new title was chosen. And the new title was chosen in order to pinpoint the thrust of the narrative that is steeped in the realities of history and psyche that make up India of today. Cracking seems to point to cracking open the realities that embody the entire Asian subcontinent. And cracking India also points to many recollections, the pain, the trauma of the narrator, the writer herself, and of the cracked open wounds of people's memories that are rooted in 1947. The amended title also calls to mind the image of India as a riddle of many cultures. Cracking this riddle requires putting one's hand on social, political, and spiritual pulse of the country, which is what Ice Candy Man aspires to do. So, if you want to write about this particular reference of changing the title, I will send you the PDF, and you can go through this PDF. And in point 3.4 of my PDF, you will find this reference to the title.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine.
It's
Yes,
very
sir.
well.
I have collected all the supplementary materials, whatever you need. I'll just share it with you. Okay, no problem. I mean, in this context, I should tell you that my teachers, they always used to tell us that uh, uh, if you want to be regarded as rich, then you have to spend a lot of money. If you save a lot of money, you will not become rich. You have to spend a lot of money to let people believe that you are rich. Okay. And if you think you want to be remembered as knowledgeable, then you have to distribute knowledge. You have to kind of share your knowledge. Okay. And kind of that's why it should be motto in your life as well. I have seen many kind of kids, many students, they don't like to share their notes with anybody. They believe it is special, it is prepared with a lot of pain and labor and all these things. So I shouldn't be giving it away to somebody else for so easily. Are you getting my point?
So one of just to reiterate what you said, one of our professors used to keep on quoting the way just your professor said. The
Yeah.
more you read, the more you study, the more you get. The more you get, the more you forget.
Yeah.
The more you forget, the less you know. The less you know, the less you forget. So I mean, it's confusing. And finally, he used to ask, "Why study?"
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, just a sec. So I sincerely believe that internet is open for everybody. Anybody can get any PDF files or any reference materials, any companion materials from anywhere. And you shouldn't be thinking like, I'm privileged and I have this material, I'll not share with my colleagues or my friends or something like that. Whatever you have, you can also share in the WhatsApp group for the benefit of others. Whatever I have, I'll share it for the benefit of all of you. Because you know if you want to write a proper answer for a long question on ice candy man, you have to read a whole lot of materials, and you have to package your answers in such a way that kind of it is going by layers. And whoever is evaluating a paper, he will believe, no, this guy or this girl or this lady has a depth of understanding in terms of ice candy man. He or she understands all the characters properly, and the connections and the kind of interpretations or the importance of this particular text. So that will fetch you good marks. Okay. Should I go back to father, Mr. Sethi?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The father works in an office, of course, and it's given. Is loving but not always very emotionally available. He spends a lot of time reading his newspaper at home. Lenny likes seeing her mother and father affectionate with each other, but it is rare. Father is worried about money. He also begins having an affair towards the end of the novel and hits his wife. So he's a minor character though, but you should understand this. And then you have Imam Din. Okay, Imam Din is the Sethi family's large and friendly cook. He is a Muslim and has family in the village of Pir Pindo. He takes Lenny there several times. He is the great grandfather of Rana. He is a good man, though sometimes grumpy. He fakes an oath to God in order to protect Aya from the mob, who eventually takes her away. I mean, Imam Din tries to save Aya while he was interrogated by this mob, angry mob, including Dilnawaz and Ice Candy Man, about when they were asking the whereabouts of Santa the Aya. Okay. And in this novel, you also have some political leaders, and they have been referred to multiple times. And in that context, you also should know a bit about them. Mahatma Gandhi, I believe he needs no introduction, but for the sake of this particular text, I must tell you a few lines about him. The Indian lawyer and non-violent activist against the British colonial government. I mean, you can say he was the pioneer of the kind of freedom movement in India against the Britishers. In the novel, he is described as a fasting frequently to raise awareness against the British as well as violence between religious communities. I mean, he was non-violent in nature, and most of the times he used to fast to highlight certain social issues or certain issues related to the freedom movement. At one point, he visits Lahore. Mother, her friends, and Lenny go to visit him. He talks about crude things like rich food and enemas, but he has a powerful effect on all the women there. Gandhi is one of the several real historical figures who appear in the novel. So this is a potential UGC net question if you want to. I mean, if there will be a multiple choice question that which of these from following which of the novels features Mahatma Gandhi as a real character or a political character. Okay. Then you have Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru was an Indian independence activist who later became the first Prime Minister of India. In the novel, he is mentioned for his activities in the Indian National Congress and for being close with the British. Then you have Muhammad Ali Jinnah. I have already told you a bit about him. Jinnah was a lawyer and a leader of All India Muslim League, known in the novel as the Muslim League. He became Pakistan's Governor General after the formation of the country in 1948. The novel describes him as a practical, cold, but fundamentally human person who historians and pro Indian intellectuals have misunderstood. This is very important. I mean, just a sec, give me just 30 seconds. Let me. Yeah, I'm back. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at our history, it's very unique and it's very, kind of complex. Uh, when, you know, let's say you go back to 50 years or 100 years, you see the interpretation was unidimensional, right? But in 2024, you find this interpretation or the meaning or truth, the concept of truth is very hazy right now, because what is truth for me, it might not be truth for you, okay, or fact for you. I mean, that's a very, we are living in a post-truth era. There are news outlets and there are fake news outlets, okay, and it is very difficult to swim and navigate between this news and fake news, okay, truth and post-truth. Okay, if 20 news channels will show something, and you will definitely believe that it is the truth and it is the, kind of dependable newsworthy item. But at the same point in time, if 20 news channels will show you something which is not true, but they want you to see that and to make you believe that this is truth. Are you getting my point, what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
So Muhammad Ali Jinnah was a kind of Mashiach for the Muslims, but for Hindus he was the villain. Okay, because for him Pakistan was a reality, and Pakistan what was created. But those who are students of history and sincere and serious students of history, they will always understand that it was not all about Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It was a combination of many factors. Maybe somehow Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to be the first Prime Minister of India. Maybe Gandhiji was blind for Jawaharlal Nehru in his love towards Jawaharlal Nehru. He also wanted Nehru to be the first Prime Minister of India. And maybe Jinnah was very selfish, or maybe Jawaharlal Nehru could have been magnanimous and let the Prime Ministership to go to Jinnah. Maybe Jinnah would have been kind of satisfied with this approach, and he might have thought, no, I have a rightful place here. Why should I create a new nation, and why should I put my people under into so much trouble? So there are a lot of ifs and buts, and there are a lot of hypothetical situations as well. So one part was like Nehru's, let's say, selfishness. Maybe at one point in time, maybe Jinnah's selfishness. Maybe some point in time, Gandhiji's love for Nehru. Maybe it was a reaction to certain Hindu organizations like Hindu Mahasabha and others. Like they wanted to let the people believe that India should be a Hindu Rashtra and it should be a Hindu majority. We are in the majority, so we'll do whatever we like, and Muslims should be the second class citizens and something like that. So there are multiple interpretations, multiple meanings, and like my teachers used to say, meaning is in the air. You choose what you like. So Jinnah is villain for us, hero for them. So we don't know, I mean, what is the exact or correct interpretation. So that is why, since Bapsi Siddha was in Lahore and she was like a Pakistani American writer, maybe she has a better perspective on Jinnah than, or qualified opinion about Jinnah than what we have. So the novel describes him as a practical, cold, but fundamentally humane person. I mean, he's a good person who historians and pro Indian intellectuals have misunderstood. Okay? I hope you get a sense of what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Am I very fast?
No, sir. It's good.
Sometimes when I sincerely believe in something, I slightly become passionate about sharing my thoughts and my inner ideas about a particular individual or an issue. But otherwise, I think, I mean, you let me know if I am running very fast. You can break me, or you can make me pause. Okay.
So we are
Sure.
able to understand.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll get into the themes. Okay. So sexuality is one of the themes, individualism versus social trauma, social groups, and control over women. Yes. you know as far as the theme sexuality is concerned, it's more about how Lenny overhears or eavesdrops over others conversations, like other adult conversations, and how she is beginning and growing in the novel, and how she is behaving and reacting to these situations, and how the Aya, Santa, is a kind of favorite girl in the locality, and how everybody is after her and everybody is looking at her, everybody is kind of longing for her, something like that. So that is also aptly kind of portrayed in this particular novel. Okay. So in that sense, kind of Lenny's understanding of sexuality and the process of understanding the word sexuality in a long run is also adequately portrayed. And also how every men in this in the locality were after Santa, and they believe Santa is very beautiful, she was lovable, she was like kind of they were like they were after the idea of kind of getting very close to her, something like that. So that has been aptly, appropriately, adequately portrayed in the novel in some sense or to some measure. Okay. And if you talk about individual and societal trauma, it's about partition. I mean, imagine that we are in our homeland, and one fine morning there will be a riot, and there will be a lot of fight between you and me and all of us, and we will be killing each other. It's very difficult to digest. It's very difficult to imagine these kind of things. But unfortunately, this is what exactly happened during partition days, and it was very difficult to fathom that it is actually happening. It was actually happening to them, all of them, the people, those who were staying together for years, kind of maybe kind of decades together. But one fine morning, I and both of us, all of us, become enemies to each other. Okay. Because there is a Lakshman Rekha between all of us. We are Hindu, you are Muslim, she is Christian or he is Parsi or something like that. So the kind of trouble, the kind of emotional trauma, the kind of emotional toll, it actually kind of the people who are going through during that time is actually also presented well in this novel, and it can be one of the major themes of the novel. How society tried to cope up with the trauma of partition and its after effects. So partition happened, it is at the stroke of a kind of notice, or a kind of letter, or a kind of understanding, it happened. But what happens next, how people will accept it, and how difficult for people to migrate from one place to another place, and how to survive that kind of assault, physical, mental, and psychological assault on themselves, and how to process that pain. I mean, imagine a situation, you lose your parents. I mean, God forbid it shouldn't happen to anybody. But you imagine a situation when you lose your parents, or somebody loses his or her parents in an accident. I mean, you will need a lot of time to process it. You will not understand what happened to you. You need like decades. You need years together to process that feeling that my parents are no more with me, and just with a freak accident you lose them. You don't process it so easily. And imagine a situation, people are killed around you, your parents are killed in front of you, your brothers, your sisters, your wives, your kind of children, everybody is being, your sisters and all the family members are butchered, massacred in front of you. I mean, you will see it in front of your own eyes, but you will not be able to cry, you will be not be able to process it so easily and so fast. It's very difficult to believe that. It's again more difficult to accept that, and it's even difficult to have a closure in your own mind, in your own life, that this has happened and I should cope with it and I should move on my life. There are so many things to be done, and I believe I should kind of forget these things. But it's not easy, because it takes a toll on your body, your mind, your psyche, and your understanding of life. And you begin to kind of lose hope, and without hope you are nothing. Are you connecting what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The,
Yes, sir.
the scenario which you explained right now, sir, it seems like the climax scene of Kashmir Files.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you can't process it so easily. We, at the end of the day, we are human beings. You might claim you are very mature, you might claim that you are very kind of balanced individual, but your maturity, your balance, your everything will be lost eventually, because you know how much you can take in, how much you can process, how much you can understand, how much you can sacrifice, or how much you can tolerate. There will be a point when you will also pick up a sword, or a kind of a pistol or a revolver or a kind of gun to kill somebody else, because your anger will take over you, your rage will take over you, and you will be no longer the same individual. Like Dilnawaz transforms himself into somebody else, and there is a kind of possessed soul in him, which actually propels him, or forces him to behave differently to Santa, in comparison to how they were living together and how they were kind of in a relationship for quite a number of years or months together. So that is the kind of trauma individual and the society as a whole suffered through the duration of partition. Okay.
So
Now,
can we say that any kind of trauma or something which affects an individual negatively, it leads ending the humanity from the human being? They become more uh, more repulsive to the positive emotions and feelings.
that's more psychological question, but I think it is person specific and case specific and situation specific, because trauma is very unique to every individual. I mean, how you will react to trauma is different than how I will react to trauma, right? And suppose I'm suffering from some psychological disease or psychological problems, my mechanism to cope with that is different, and your mechanism will be totally different. So you cannot generalize or homogenize, kind of you cannot generalize this idea. But having said that, it might happen to some individuals. What you said, you might be repulsive to some positive feelings and emotions. It is
Sir,
very.
if any question, okay, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
if a question is asked in exam regarding that how appropriate the title Ice
Okay.
Candyman fits to the novel written by Bapsi Sidhwa. So we
Yes.
can take all these points into
Yes,
consideration,
yes.
right?
You can package your answer in a very clever way, where you will direct the evaluator to your point of view. Okay, you will not let anything for imagination. You will just write it and tell him that, look, I'm very convinced with this, so I want you to be convinced. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then we have social groups. Okay. Hindus, Muslims, Parsis, and how they react to their kind of the how they react to this partition, how they react to the violence, how they react as a whole, as a community. Like Parsis, even after all these violences, they were like neutral. No, we are not going to support the Hindus. We are not going to support the Muslims. We will try to remain neutral. Like for the most of the century, India has been a neutral kind of country in the United Nations. And there are constant conflicts between USA and China, USA and Russia, and there are other countries as well. They are fighting with each other. But India has taken a unique position. I mean, most of the time India takes a neutral stand, but at times India also maneuvers pretty well, and we are at the same point in time friends with Russia as well as US. It is not possible in today's geopolitics but India has made it possible because our foreign affairs minister or our kind of political class, they have made sure that our interest is paramount. Okay, we don't care what happens with others. We should protect our interest, our people, and our country. So likewise, Parsis were very clever. I mean, at that point in time, they were kind of out of this competitive zone where there was a kind of competitive violence with the Hindus and the Muslims. They thought, no, it is better to be neutral. Even if we lose some lives, it's okay, but we'll save more. But Hindus and Muslims, because they were the active participants in this conflict, so it is bound to happen that they will lose more lives or they will kill others as well. But as a community, Parsis were different, and it was widely believed that Hindus were some kind of, somehow they were more tolerant than the Muslims, but I have no documentary evidence to show that. It is perceived, it is a matter of perception that maybe they were the kind of tolerant group, maybe Muslims are more intolerant, but for certain I can't say what was the case. It is my personal and very narrow understanding of the religious sentimentality of both Hindus and Muslims. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
In 2.2, there is written that the narrative opens with the Urdu poet equals complaint to God. So
Mhm.
this is the point that where the some statements from the poet it is written that shall I hear the lament of nightingale. So is it related to this ice candy man? So I can write this in my answers if
Yes,
the
yeah, of
question.
course, of course. Okay, it is related. That's why it is given in your study material, right? If it would
Yes,
haven't,
sir.
it would haven't been be related, then they wouldn't have given you in the text or in the material. Okay, so
Yes, sir. Actually, I got confused because it is the autobiography, as you said that it is the autobiography of the author,
okay,
um, Nobel. So here it is written a Urdu
it
poet
is
equals.
autobiographical in nature. It's not an autobiography per se. Okay,
Okay, okay.
okay. So another theme which is not there in this slide, but I should add here, that autobiographical elements of kind of this Ice Candy Man. Like Ice Candy Man is a novel that imaginatively tells the story of a young Parsi girl growing up against the backdrop of the events that led up to the succeeded in the partition of India in 1947. If you assess on the microcosmic level, Ice Candy Man focuses on the events in the personal life of Lenny growing up in Lahore. In more than many ways, Lenny resembles Bapsi Sidhwa, whose own childhood was spent in Lahore in the years preceding the partition. You can mention that in your answers.
Okay, sir. Thank
Like
you.
the writer herself, Leni is also cocooned world comprising her mother, father, godmother, ayah, and the contingent of domestic helps. On one level, Bapsi Sidhwa's focus is on Leni's identity as a young handicapped girl vis-a-vis these people who surround and emotionally sustain her. So you can also highlight one theme is autobiographical elements. And you can also add in that history as a theme, identity as a theme, okay, like how people tend to identify themselves and who they are, okay, who they were in the context of the novel, and how they perceived their identity and how they reacted to these kind of things. For example, as far as history is concerned, this novel portrays situation in which identity is sought to be defined through the lens of religion. Okay, and it is revealed in the process are the ironies and the dangers of allowing religious identities to prevail over social and personal identities. It is this outlook in the people's minds which caused bloodbath of partition. And Ice Candy Man captures a defining moment in South Asian history which changed the map of the world. Its repercussions are still being felt in the communal divides that beset our subcontinent. I mean, look at now we are close to elections, and there will be a lot of kind of propaganda and publicity against the Hindus as well as the Muslims as well as Christians, because politicians will try to milk the situation and find a favorable verdict against their opponents, and favorable verdicts for them and against their opponents. So this concept of identity, the concept of history, and concept of social identity has been a very old phenomena in Indian politics as well as Indian society, and that you can also highlight if you want to write in a detailed manner about the themes. Okay. Now the
Yes, sir.
last one is control over women. Yes. Sorry. I believe your network is somehow not good. That's why I'm not able to hear whatever you are trying to tell us right now. Am I audible to all of you others?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so the next one is control over women. Do you think our women are free in today's world, in our society in India?
Till now, not, sir. No, we are not free.
Till- and who is to be blamed for that? Men or women or both?
We can say both men and women.
But primarily,
Men.
okay. Okay, I mean, my position is unique here because I guess I'm your facilitator or trainer, you can say, but I'm asking this hypothetical question. But I have a different interpretation to this. I mean, whenever a society is troubling women, I guess uh, men are to be blamed for sure, because they are the kind of they are in a position of power or something like that. But there are many women who could have prevented this particular scenario, but they didn't do it. Can you give me one example in your family? Do you think when you know you are being kind of sidelined, or you are being told how to live your life, how to lead your life, and how to wear and what to wear and how to behave, how to talk, and what career option you should have? Do you think your mothers and your sisters are supporting you enough?
No, sir. Because father is the head of the family and he is deciding all the things.
So there is a sense of patriarchy, as well as there is a sense of kind of other women also have surrendered to this particular narrative that father is the head of the family, and we should follow whatever he says. But do you question the decision of your father at any point in time in your home or at your home?
Sometimes, sir.
Sometimes. Okay. And after that?
After that, sir, he got angry and scolded me.
Okay. Okay. What I mean to say is that this control is a mechanism where people, men and women, both want to have it. But fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. But some people, they get it. Some people don't get it. But uh, largely in our historically, India has been very patriarchal in nature, and our society, our family is patriarchal in nature, and we men have kind of more control over others than what women have over others. And that's a very lopsided and biased way of looking at a society, but unfortunately it is true, because for centuries altogether we didn't allow the women to be educated. For decades altogether we didn't allow the women to vote. And even as kind of even for this for example, you go to certain communities, like, I shouldn't be saying this against any community or for any community, but for example, uh, the idea of marriage, or the act of marriage, or the laws related to marriage, it is different in Hindu marriage act, and it is different in Muslim marriage act. I mean, I do not know whether that concept of Muslim marriage act or not, but related to that, right? So, kind of the concept of polygamy, the concept of child marriage, the concept of remarriage or divorce, it should be kind of uniform. you know every citizen, every kind of community should respect one set of laws and one set of kind of what do you say, uh, laws related to marriage, polygamy, divorce, property, and all these things. But unfortunately, we don't have it yet in our country. Maybe there are some sections who actually oppose this, because they believe no, every religion is unique and they should have their own laws, and no one should impose any particular single law over others. That is one argument. But because of these laws, you have more control over women. I mean, if father is your head of the family, then definitely he will have more control over you, your mother, your sisters, and everybody. Okay. But imagine a situation, head of the family will be decided not by gender, but by your occupation or your contribution to the family, or your education of or your education level. Then the game will be changed. Okay, the scenario will be changed. Okay. But even in that, women will fall short, because men has knowing men have knowingly not let the women to be educated, to be kind of they haven't given them enough space, enough leg room or elbow room, where they can actually do something, kind of where they will be equal, if not more better, if not better, they should at least be equal. Of course, India has grown a lot, and we have done a lot about women empowerment, women education, and even our current political dispensation is also helping women in many ways, in more than one ways, to sustain and to kind of to be employed and to be educated. But still, it's not enough. A lot more to be done, and it might help us, our women. And that is exactly what happened in Ice Candy Man. you know uh, you know the control over women, and the thinking that the women are soft targets, and they can be kind of traumatized for the sake of revenge, and they can be kind of tortured, and they can be pulled up, they can be murdered, they can be raped, they can be you know whatnot. I mean, they can be kind of vehicle for the act of revenge. That itself is wrong, but that's what happened, unfortunately. And you know this Ice Candy Man Dil Nawaz, he actually convinces Lenny, a small child, that I won't do any harm to Santa. I will do everything possible in my capacity to help her and to protect her. But when finally he gets the custody of Santa, then he does whatever he wanted to do, because he thought, in this world of riots and massacres and murders, who will stop me? I have absolute control. I can do anything, whatever I want to. Of course, I was in love in some time back, but right now I'm a changed individual. I'm somebody different. I have a lot of anger, a lot of issues within me, and I want to take revenge. I will forget everything else. Okay. So there are multiple things which you can kind of corroborate, you can package in your answers while you write about themes. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
And I should also add here, the novel exposes the vulnerability and oppression of women in a patriarchal society that is torn by communal violences. The novel focuses on the plight of Aya, who is kidnapped, raped, and forced into prostitution by the Ice Candy Man. The novel also reveals the resilience and courage of women who resist or escape their abusers, such as Godmother, who helps Lenny rescue Aya. Okay. So there were also some other women who were very resilient and very courageous, and they helped Santa or the Aya to be rescued, and to be rescued out of that red light area. So these are possible themes. And in terms of Ice Candy Man, I guess there are many other themes. If you want, I'll also share my PDFs with you so that it will help you. Partition is another kind of important themes. The novel depicts the political and social turmoil that resulted from division of India into two separate nations based on religious lines. The novel shows how partition affected the lives of millions of people who were displaced, killed, traumatized by the violence and hatred that erupted between Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs. Okay. Religious identity, I've already told you. Childhood and innocence, you can also add one. Like the novel portrays the loss of childhood and innocence of Lenny and other children and their experiences due to partition. Lenny witnesses the horrors of war, betrayal, rape, okay, that shatter her idyllic view of the world. Because as a child, Lenny would have had a different world view to her psyche. But when she found out that this is what the real world is, imagine what is her emotional reaction to these kind of events around her. She also grows up faster than normal as she learns about sexuality, violence, and death. If a child is exposed to these things, definitely she will lose her innocence of childhood, and she will mature faster, and she will understand the complexities of life faster, and that's not good at all. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
And then you can add one more about this cracking India. Okay, the novel uses the image of cracking India as a symbol of the fragmentation and destruction that partition caused. The novel also suggests that India was already cracked by its colonial history and its social inequalities. Okay, are you getting my point? So it can be one of the possible themes as well. Okay, now we'll get you to symbols. So lion, queen statue, doll. Have you gone through this? Okay. Religious markers or emblems, like the novel uses various symbols that identify each person's religious affiliation, such as names, clothing, hairstyle, kind of other things. These symbols become more prominent and divisive as partition approaches, and religious differences led to violence and hatred. Okay, you have ice candy as a symbol. The novel uses ice candy as a symbol of both sweetness and coldness. Ice Candy Man, who sells uh, popsicles, is initially a charming and humorous character who brings joy to Lenny and Aya. However, he later becomes a cruel and vengeful person who betrays Aya and forces her into prostitution. Ice candy also symbolizes the fragility and impermanence of life as it melts quickly in the heat of political violence, in the heat of partition, in the heat of violence. Okay, just a sec. Okay. Then there are certain kind of ironic elements in the novel as well, like Monsieur's death. It is called situational irony. Monsieur is the most peaceful character in this story, and is someone who uses his hands to heal and give pleasure. His gruesome death is an example of situational irony because his fate is completely different from what the reader would expect. So that's why it is situational irony.
Sir,
Okay.
you asked in the previous slide that have you gone through it, the doll. You are referring to the doll that it is written in, frustration upon her toys. It is written one thing regarding the doll.
Okay. I didn't get you. Would you repeat your
Uh,
question? Yes.
yes, sir. It is written in the function of the narrator's multiple identification versus the society. Here
Okay.
it is written, yeah,
Okay.
in I think 2.4.
Okay. In the IGNO material. Okay. 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 I understand. Actually, I haven't gone through that particular section of that IGNO material. But you can correlate, and I will give you some supplementary materials, and you can make the connections. Okay.
Yes, sir. In this IGNO material, it is saying that one celluloid doll is there and two friends are there, and they are pulling like one is pulling the leg brutally, very brutally, and after that, both of the friends are stretching one by one, and it is like at the end the legs split, and then one friend is asking why were you so cruel if you couldn't stand it, because the other friend is sobbing.
Okay. Okay. I understand. Okay. Just a sec. Okay.
So I wanted to take screenshot of the literary elements of Ice Candyman actually.
Okay. No problem. I'll just do it again. Just a sec.
So
No problem. No problem. I'll do it.
Sir, this the little phrase is indicating the brutality of the during the period of the partition.
Of course, I mean, it is. There is no doubt that there must have been brutal killings. There must have been, kind of painful memories and these things. So, uh, it is a kind of portrayal of those things only, and mostly those ideas or those related elements have been portrayed. Okay.
Yes, sir, and we can add this in our elaborate, like if we have to write in details in this particular ice candy novel, we can write down this one as an example.
Yes. Yes. One of the examples. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going back to the original mode of this particular kind of Google Meet. Okay. Do you have the questions with you regarding this past questions of related to Ice Candy Man?
Yes, sir, it's there. In the group I have shared, sir. And I
Yes.
have shared also the new recent paper, sir, December 2023. Last day I shared that. It's pretty new and it's not updated in the website till now. It would be updated within this month or the next month for the last exam we had, December 2023.
Okay. Okay. Let me read out the particular past questions. Okay. In reference to this particular Ice Candy Man. How is human loss depicted in Bapsi Sidhwa's Ice Candy Man? Explain. Okay, so it's a pretty easy question. It was in 2023 December. Okay. uh, I think you can do it. I mean, do you think it is difficult one to handle? You will have to describe the partition scenes in detail, and you will highlight human loss, and you will highlight Santa. You will highlight Mashur's death. You will highlight lakhs and millions of millions people whose lives were lost, and how the train from India, which came back to Pakistan, when Dil Nawaz saw the scene where a lot of mutilated bodies were there. Are you following what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
if this question will sir, come in exam, then we have to start from the India's partition, and then step by step we will go through towards the characters, and
Yes.
at the end we will show that how human actually brutally
This
killed.
human loss is a very generic or general question. You can write so many things in that particular answer, because you can start with the idea of partition, the history of partition, how India and Pakistan became two nation, how the idea of partition were floated, and how what happened after that, and how people reacted, how Hindus reacted, how Muslims reacted, how political class reacted, and the nature and timing and the kind of veracity of the or the detailed information related to the violences, you can write it one after another depending on the sequence. Okay, but you have to make sure that it's about, you have to highlight the human loss and highlight the trauma. You have to highlight the loss related to psychology, related to trauma, related to physical loss, related to, loss of property, related to loss of, kind of how different varying emotions you go through during this thing, and how difficult it is to process, kind of this kind of loss, this kind of violence, this kind of destruction. So everything you can package it accordingly. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Salman, you had actually posted two questions and two PDF. That is, one is only there right now, which is only one question of December 2023. What about the others? Hello, Salman,
Sir,
are you there? Yes.
this was just one question that I also see it's getting repeated.
Yes, yes, sir.
Discuss the discuss
Okay,
the
sir.
va- I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. Please continue.
Discuss the various political connotations. What could be the connotations, sir? Political connotations.
Of partition,
Connotation.
I mean, you mean to say?
Sir, this question is about discuss the various political connotations in Ice Candyman. Political connotations is about what all we can bring apart from the partition things, sir. Like, what are various political connotations?
Okay, okay,
This I'm
okay,
not.
okay. Okay, that's what, that is why I, at the beginning, I gave you a lot of information related to
Okay, okay. That is historical perspective.
the
Yes, sir. Got
historical
it.
perspectives, how Hindu Mahasabha reacted, how Muslim League was formed, and what prompted the Muslim leaders to have a
Yes,
different
yes,
groupings of their own, and what was the, kind of political and social reasons which actually threatened their existence, and what led them to believe that we are not safe here, we should be creating a new nation, two nation theory, and all these things. At the beginning, very beginning, I told you these things. I'll also
yes, sir.
send
Yes.
you a supplementary material for that. Okay. And Salman has been very kind to upload the questions once more, as well as other related files. So you can go through
Sir,
that.
one more repeat question.
Mhm.
Analyze the ambivalence in the narrative voice. Ambivalence in the narrative voices in the Ice Candyman. Ambivalence in
Okay.
the narrative
It's
voice
about
means.
Lenny. Okay. You have to understand what is ambivalence first. Okay. Ambivalence means, kind of having mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about something or someone. Okay. You know, you have to think, you have to imagine yourself as Lenny, as the narrator. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
from the perspective of Lenny, what she must have gone through after seeing the transformation of Dil Nawaz, and after seeing that kind of what is happening around her, and how different varied emotions are actually taking over her, how she is exposed to violence, how she is exposed to sexuality, how she is beginning to understand what is rape, and how she is not able to process things, how she is reacting to Santa, how she is reacting to Monsieur's death, how she is reacting to the partition, how she is reacting to everything altogether. Okay.
So it's like she has seen the people changing in front of her eyes.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like
So you have to
contradictory
connect
feelings
and
from
correlate
child to
everything and package
yes.
your answer. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else has
Yes, sir.
yes.
This is me. Sir, actually, I just download the June
Just
23
a second.
question.
I would
There
like
is
to
a
interrupt
difference.
you. Your
Yes,
ID says Tejas Kumar Behra, but I would like to know your name if you don't mind.
sir, my name is Supriya. Actually, Tejas is my son.
Okay, okay, fine, fine, fine. I'm
Uh,
sorry
so,
for asking you this, but I just wanted to know. Yes.
sir, don't worry. Sir, here actually I just download the June question and it is written that examine Ice Candy Man as reflecting Parsi identity. So, how we will write this question's answer?
Yes, that is why you need a lot of historical perspective and you also need to read a bit about partition, and before actually partition happened, what were the political scenario and what was the political compulsion of a certain section of society to actually support the idea of partition. And you have to also kind of what can I say, like with examples and with kind of data and information, okay, which will actually help you to package your answer. So ideally you will start with pre-partition days, then you will have to describe about partition, then you have to describe about post partition scenario, okay. So then
Okay.
you'll be able to do justice to the question.
Okay, sir. So in the viewpoint of persons, like it is asking the question or what, sir? Parsi. So I didn't get
Yeah,
it.
I mean, you have to kind of write about how Parsi communities were regarded, and how they were having good relations with both Hindus and Muslims, how they became neutral even after all these complex violence, kind of erupting violence around them, how they remained calm, cool and composed, and how they were perceived as neutral, because everybody believed that they were neutral. That's why they could behave neutrally. Otherwise, if you think I'm neutral but I'll kill you, so what is that neutrality means? So if you are neutral and you made me to believe that you are neutral, then you are actually neutral, and you are successfully being neutral for number of years or number of times. Are you
Yes,
getting
sir.
my point?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, let me go to the questions once more. We have discussed one. Okay, what is the impact of the women characters in Ice Candy Man on Lenny's consciousness? Okay, that is question in June 2010. So in that case, you have to highlight all the women characters in the novel, starting with Lenny, starting with including Santa, including the godmother, the mother, Mr. Sethi. So you have to write about all of them individually and collectively, and you will also have to do a bit of comparison, contrasting, for all the characters, so that you know you will give a feel to the kind of evaluator that you actually have you know ingrained all those ideas and kind of the thought process in you, and you are reproducing it with a lot of conviction and courage, and you believe what you write. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Okay.
here all the women that Lenny is affected by her mother, as well as the
Yes.
Aya, and all the things, all the characters we have to elaborate, right?
Yes. Okay, let me go to another question in December 2010. That is, discuss Ice Candy Man as an autobiographical fiction and a partition novel. Yes. To answer this question, you have to read a bit about theory about autobiographical novel. What is an autobiographical novel? You have to give 5 or 6 examples, and when a novel can be called as autobiographical. Okay, and what is an autobiography? What are the differences between autobiographic and autobiographical novel? Okay, then you have to read a bit about partition novels. You have to give examples of other partition novels of our times. Okay, then you will be able to justify that this question you are able to write your answer properly. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Sir,
confused? Yes.
sir, there is one question, one last question I want to ask.
Yes, no problem. You can ask me as many questions as you can. Okay.
Thanks, sir. Sir, actually, autobiography, that means one person, the novelist, actually presenting his or her experience, life experience in a book.
Mhm.
Okay, and autobiographical novel, how it is different from autobiography?
Yes, I'll send you a separate PDF for that. But for your understanding, just make just a kind of sweeping generalization. I should tell you that autobiography is considered that truth. Okay, I mean, according to theorists in autobiography, they believe that autobiography, when a writer writes his or her autobiography, it is about his or her life, and it is mostly true, and the element of fiction is almost negligible. Okay,
Yes,
but when it is autobiographical novel, it is a fiction by declaration, it is a novel, okay, but it has some kind of autobiographical element or some kind of resemblance to the actual life of the author. So the autobiography is the actual life story of the author when he or she has written, but autobiographical novel means she has written it but in the form of a fiction or a novel, but there are certain resemblance or certain connection to her actual life. Okay.
That means he or she is presenting her some events of her life with the fictionist characters, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next question, which I should just see. Give post-colonial perspective of Bapsi Sidhwa's Ice Candy Man. So, see, I know whatever the discussions we are doing right now, I mean, uh, there are multiple interpretations, multiple angles you have to cover if you want to really score good marks in this paper. You have to read about post-coloniality, you have to read about partition novels, you have to read about kind of autobiographical novel. Then you can connect and kind of relate and correlate your concepts in a certain way where people will understand that yes, this guy or this lady has actually done a bit of research, and he has done his or she has done her homework, and now let's accept her. Okay. So we have
Yes,
already
sir.
discussed a lot of post-colonial thing in our past, in our kind of inaugural class. Well, when we talked about uh, this coloniality, post-coloniality, and how post-colonial can have multiple meanings, how post-colonial can be called as whatever happened after colonial forces left, or it's a sum total of cultural, social, and other things. Okay, I have already told you that in the inaugural class. You can correlate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, should we call it a day right now? I mean, am I visible to all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And Salman has been very kind to share a lot of information and a lot of PDF files for your reference. All of you can can download them, and if you want, you can also get a printout. And I'm supposed to upload some of the files which I have or which have actually helped me to prepare for this class, and I'll try my best to upload it in all the groups, or at least this group in which Salman has uploaded. And you can share it with your friends, you can download it, you can study it, and you can have a kind of uh, overall kind of packaged ideas for your answers or for your exams. Okay.
It's
I think so.
complete
I think so.
package, sir.
I think so. It's more. I need to thank sir because sir is a complete inspiration for us students. He has been really, really nice with his presentations. He works so hard, and
No,
every time I attend his class, I turn to work hard 2 times more extra.
no, actually, I'm also beginner as far as teaching you. I mean, I'm also learning in the process, because new literature in English as such is kind of not difficult, but it's slightly challenging in certain ways, in more than one. And but I think this Block 6 poetry of Derek Walcott and Edward Brathwaite is slightly difficult for all of you. But if you still I mean, I'll try to prepare a presentation for that. I guess tomorrow's text, House for Mr. Biswas, is slightly easier in terms of understanding and in terms of interpretation. And again, the last one is Stone Angel, and the second last one is like that solid mandala. It's okay. But this poetry of Derek Walcott and Edward Brathwaite, these Caribbean writers, I mean, you are not exposed to those poetries at all. Okay, so it will
So
be
are we doing
challenging.
tomorrow by any chance?
Mm,
Yes, sir.
no, we are doing it. We are doing House for Mr. Viswas tomorrow. A day after tomorrow will be this poetry thing. Then
Yes, sir. Because
solid
tomorrow
mandala
will be
for,
little longer day for
yes.
tomorrow will be little longer day for me. So I am not sure. I don't. So tomorrow, what will you be taking?
I
Which one?
think we are going to look at House for Mr. Biswas.
Okay.
Uh, okay.
Novel. Sir, I'll try joining from wherever I am. Sir, it's
Okay.
been like a complete package. I thought I know a bit about Ice Candyman, but today I know that I understood that I don't know at all. Thank you, Salman, for kindly uploading, and I didn't even know how he could extract so many PDFs. Wonderful.
Yeah,
And thank you,
I mean,
sir.
all of us, the team should, the group should thank Salman for doing that. But all of us, we are living in an age of information, and we should harness or we should leverage this power of
Yes,
information
really. I mean,
to
I
write
really
and
need to
package.
inculcate. I'm thinking about research, so I understood where I stand today. And
Yes,
it's
yes.
really, really, very informative. Actually, very kind and very informative. Like, it's now I understand like how much we really need to work from today onwards to even to understand a bit about Ice Candyman. I initially not others, but Ice Candyman. I thought I already read a bit about the Igno material, and I read bit about the novel, and I've seen movie. I thought I know so much, but today I have understood that it's all new. Everything has been new. Thanks, very kind information, sir. Really been informative,
Okay,
and I think
okay. Thank you for your kind words. And on that happy note, we should end the class right now. And thank you all for your patience, and thank you for listening to me and tolerating me for these 2 hours. And let's say that for next 3 days, you will be able to tolerate my kind of presentation, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much, sir. We are not tolerating, sir. Actually, we are enjoying your class. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you again to all of you. Uh, I think we should stop here. I should request Tapan sir to stop the recording. And I guess in due course of time, he will do that. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good
Good
night.
night, sir. Good night, sir. Take
Thank you.